Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of QTube. This episode, we are all the way to balmy Australia. It's winter, I think, there, with Josh and Cooper from Those Who Dream. Guys, welcome to QTube.
Hello, thank you so much for having us.
Where's that song and dance we were promised?
Yeah,
I didn't see any dancing.
I was dancing. I don't know about you.
I was bobbing ready.
You guys, so this is our first time chatting, which is really great. I'm very excited about you guys because you're very different. You're very fresh. What you're bringing to music, especially from a young kind of standpoint. There's elements of alternative rock and pop punk and all the good stuff that I really like. But for those of you who are out there who are not familiar with you as much, Cooper, Josh, your brothers, correct?
Yes,
That's
indeed.
right.
Same womb.
Tell us a bit more about
always says that.
Tell us a bit more about you and kind of how you got into this and how long you've been doing music for and that.
Yes,
Music.
that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, Cooper and I are brothers, so there's no real we met in this situation. We've always known each other. So it was very obvious towards when we started growing up a little more and making music on our own, whether it be in like other bands and all that, it kind of became more and more obvious that we're like, hey, we have the same music taste. We should really be doing this together rather than trying to make it work outside of that. Hence the two-person thing, hence the, it's just us in it because it just works. We're really happy with the situation.
I think ever since we were kids, because we grew up with a very creative family, our dad worked in TV and radio and everything. So we always had this mindset that we could make whatever we wanted come to life.
No boundaries.
Whether that be lightsabers and setting up a little camcorder.
It's not a lie.
And editing in the lightsaber, or when we started getting into music and we were like, wait, we can do that, and it was really bad, but we still tried.
Yeah, it was very much a monkey see, monkey do, and that's what's brought us here. Monkey's still doing.
Yeah, I mean, literally YouTube tutorials for a long time, and now we're here. I don't know how.
You know what? We're happy that you are here. Your sound has a lot of different influences. For folks who have not seen or if they're watching this afterwards, Monster is the new single. But even Monster, the sound of Monster currently is a little bit different from some of your earlier stuff. And I looked, and I think 2017 is, I think, the earliest thing that's on Spotify. How many years has it been that you've been kind of together and actively pursuing it as a serious kind of career?
We started the whole thing in high school, pretty much right towards the end of senior year and all that. And so we're getting ready to kind of be our own person, discover ourselves, whatever. But at the same time, it was very much we were listening to so much music at the time, and we still listen to so much music. There is an absurd amount of influences that kind of happens when we're writing songs. So very much, in the high school age, it was a lot of All Time Low, Fall Out Boy, 30 Seconds to Mars, all the kind of the big pop rock bands that we would just obsess over in the 1975. And that was very much what kind of propelled us into the pop rock world, that kind of 90s, 2000s pop punk-ish sort of thing. But then we got real into Churches, M83, Depeche Mode, and all these kind of more synthy-based stuff. And it was really just building off of that. And that's what the kind of 2017 Life in Cyan sound was, when we were just getting into synths, just getting into learning about all these different sounds. And now we're at a really cool point where we're listening to more music than ever. We're kind of making more music than ever, and we're just doing what we want. It's the coolest thing. We can literally just think of a song that is catchy to us and that we really like and just make it.
I think back then when we were first starting, we thought we kind of had to fit into a certain box for people to get what we're doing. But like the more we've realized that we can literally just like make what we genuinely feel and what we actually want to pour out, and people like it even more, you know, like that's just makes us so happy, because we're like, finally I can use my jazz influences and my weird rap influences.
Literally, like there's so much like thought that goes into the songs, because there's so much happening. We're like, okay, we need to chill out. We can't have all the influences in it. Like, just like save it for another song. But that's what we love about creating, and about those random moments of like, oh my God, you know, would it be sick? Like those kind of things is what keeps us going. And that's kind of what all our songwriting sessions start off. It's very much like genuine inspiration in the moment, rather than like, all right, write the same thing, what's another pop rock song, whatever. Like
I'm a big fan of cross genre. I call it cross genre breeding, kind of, in a way where, you know, artists, and I find it's happening way more now than ever before, where you're no longer afraid. And you did see it at one point, that there was a lot of kind of like, this is your lane, stay in it, music. But I love when artists can dip into all the different pools of music, and I really do find that you guys do that. When I first heard, and I think it was Red Chair that I heard first, and I was kind of like, oh, because it did.
Spicy.
It was exciting because you could hear different elements that you were pulling from. And then when I saw the video, I was kind of like, wow, I literally thought from the video that, oh, these guys are signed, these guys are like out there, and there's whatever, right? Because that video, you did a great job, and you guys know how to make your kitchen and your living room and your home look like a set, and look like a professionally put together set. You need to package this as an educational program. I swear to God, we need to do a course on this, because I think
all YouTube videos.
Well, I know. And then I watched your YouTube video about how you did in your own home your video, and I was kind of like, this is bloody genius. People agonize over, I don't have money and I don't have a set, and how am I going to do this? And you guys made it look like you had like a team of, 25 and lighting rigs and whatnot pulled together, when really it was you two and your sister, and some link.
That's what I was saying before. Like, we just don't take no for an answer, and we don't take that like, oh, we don't have enough money. Like, we see it as a challenge. We're always like, you know what? We have no money, but like, we can still do it.
Yeah, like, dude, we've been on tour when our bank accounts are like in debt. Like,
as a true artist.
It's just like, things can be made to happen, and there are so many things that can set you back, but at the same time, there are so many little hidden gems that can just take you that step further. You just have to find them. Like, in our case, it was the fact that we grew up in a family that kind of had a lot of this camera equipment lying around anyway, and there was always something with it going on. So the question of being like, hey, can we use this for a weekend and just mess around, is like, yeah, it's pretty normal, because it just exists here. And then from there, we kind of think, all right, how do we make this not just like roughly how we want it, but like exactly how we want it? How do we make this room like end to end exactly the way we think of it in our minds? And sorry, real quick, there's no kind of, oh, okay, well, in a perfect world we'd have this and this. It's just like, all right, in this world, what do we have? How can we make it?
You're super talented at it.
Thank you. I was just gonna say, like, we're also obsessed with movies almost as much.
Oh my God,
as we're obsessed with music. So like,
we're such movie nerds.
That just goes hand in hand for us. We're like, we will settle for nothing less than like Christopher Nolan's standard music video.
Yeah, and like, well, the funny thing is, because I don't really watch much TV in general. Like, I don't even have my TV set up in my home yet. But when it comes to movies, like, I have always grown up just with a kind of like half cinematography mind, half music mind, because I see everything as kind of like the perfect frame or whatever. And I just love the fact that we can make music, but also still just have not just like a say, but have full control over the visuals and everything that's happening, because we can tie it together just in the exact way that we want. There's no compromise or like kind of, you know, clashing ideas and stuff.
And like same goes for the merch that we design for ourselves and like all the branding. Like, gosh, we're control freaks. We just like we want to do all of it.
Now that we're working with a few more people, they kind of understand that. They're like, all right, we can see that you're pretty hands-on with all of this. Like, just do your thing. That's fine, because that's really the way we work best. We have so many ideas and we just want to do everything.
Your eye for this kind of thing, obviously, I mean, it helps to be from an entertainment background with your parents and your dad and that, because you do, and maybe you don't pick up on it when you're younger until you want to, you know, become interested, but definitely has an influence for sure. Yeah, because and I was going to ask you about the merch. Because I, you know, kind of going through your world and what you've kind of put out there. I was kind of like, you have it, like you have your eye, and you know what you want, and you know what you want to create, and there's such a life to it. There's such a fun life to it, and it's really so, you know, when the do-it-yourself artist kind of people started talking about the DIY artist and that kind of thing, this is really it. This is like, I'm like, if you told me that you're at home in a back room silk screening your own t-shirts, I wouldn't be surprised. But
he just took, like, there used to be like 5 clothes hangers full of merch, and then all these drawers, and I've just moved out of this house now, so like I live somewhere else, so my room and that whole room is just filled with merch, because this is the packing center, this is the shipping center, it's where it all happens.
I never sleep.
There you go.
So Monster's the current single, and the video for Monster is, and what I've noticed is typically, Cooper, you're on drums, Josh, you're on guitar, and you're both somehow flailing around in tandem, but you do switch off, and you do kind of jump in and out of different roles. And I'm just kind of curious, how do you get to that point where you guys are really in sync, so, and no pun intended, but you guys are in sync with one another, it seems, with everything, and I'm just kind of curious, when it comes to the writing, how do you kind of work that out? And when it comes to like performance or the videos, how do you compromise with one another? Because you are brothers, and I'm sure that there's, you know, it's kind of like, no, I disagree with you, and that kind of thing, like all bands do. But like, how do you move that forward, and with the writing and stuff like that, because you are very much in sync?
Well, like the writing and the performance for us are 2 very kind of separate worlds, but then the most exciting part is when they combine, and when we're writing and be like, all right, this is exactly how we're gonna do this live. Like we're in the mindset of writing a studio song and, you know, doing that whole process, but at the same time, in the back of our mind, we're thinking, oh, but I have this really cool idea for how we're gonna do an introduction for it, how we can have a break and switch instruments and do like some weird drop thing. Like it really all kind of combines in the end. But writing wise, I mean, like Cooper and I listen to the same artists. Cooper has a huge list of new artists every single day that he's listening to, and he takes me on, or I take him on drives, and he shows me these songs in my car, and it's like we're constantly being inspired, so there's never really any boredom between us.
It's kind of like we share the same brain bank, so when something gets added to one of ours, it gets added to both, because we'll tell each other about it.
Yeah, so when we're writing together, it's never really like, oh, I don't like that idea. Oh, I think that style's a bit blah. Like, it's never like that, because we're working off the same brain.
Yeah, like 90% of the time, it just works out really perfectly. And it surprises us. We're like, we should be arguing over this, but we're not. But
touch fucking wood.
But those few times when we do disagree, I think we've definitely found a way of dealing with it more as we get older, more wise, dare I say. And
Yeah.
we've sort of just figured out that we got to take it back to why we're doing it, and we got to like settle down and stop like raising our voices and be like, wait, what's like the goal of this? Is it to make a good song? Yes, so let's serve the song and choose whichever decision will serve the song best. Like it's just about bringing it back to that core, like, wait, you're my brother, let's chill out, like, why are we doing this kind of thing? And it works out.
He's the mature one. I love getting drunk before a songwriting session. You come up with the awesomest ideas. And like,
I thought you were gonna be like, I love fighting. I'm always looking to get into one.
Man, I'm so angsty. No, but like, yeah, so writing works out really perfectly. But when it comes to live performance, I mean, the kind of the problem existed very early on, being two people, but we make music with so many elements and so much going on in it. So we, you know, of course, kind of have built up a technology thing that helps us out live, and we can stream like different outputs of backing tracks and stuff. But at the same time, we want to make sure, just because we're two people on stage, we want to keep the show as interesting as possible, and making up for the lack of energy of like another like 3 or 4 people. So that's where the whole switching instruments idea came in play, or like doing our handshake, or Cooper coming to the front and dancing while like I'm on drums, like all that sort of thing. And we're still going, like we're still trying to think of the wackiest thing we can do live that just isn't like a concert, like a live band, as you know, as much as it is like a musical or something, like just weird things that we want to do and want to try. The reason we want to do that is because as two people, I mean, like we got to make up for a bit of energy.
We just like to entertain.
Yeah,
It's quite
you
fun.
do. You definitely
like,
entertain.
Involve the audience, go into the audience, like literally, like with the music, there's no real like, oh, you can't do that. Like that's not what you should do. Like
whenever
why shouldn't we?
Whenever we come across one of those, oh, you're not meant to do that, we're like, we kind of want to do it more now.
Yeah, you shouldn't have said that.
Yep.
Just break all the rules.
Every single one.
Well, I mean, it's music, right? And I mean, I think that, especially now, I mean, with the pandemia world that we're living in right now, that we're kind of currently in, you do have to think more creatively. But I also think the live experience, you know, if it gets to, you know, commonplace and it gets too comfortable, you know, people, they like to be surprised. They like to be excited by a live performance. And for two people, and just from what I saw online, like videos and that kind of thing, you know how to get to the front. That was weird.
Well,
that was
I mean,
weird.
Yeah, our audio did something funny.
Sorry, just repeat the last part of that.
I was just going to say, you know how to get to the front of the stage, and what I mean by that is that sometimes some artists will not know how to use their space, or they may not be as comfortable using all of their space, because I think, you know, the world has kind of said, this is what a concert looks like, this is what a live kind of thing looks like, a live presentation.
Your boundaries, don't cross it, otherwise you get an electric shock.
Right. But you are into what I like to call breaking the fourth wall in a way. In music does that. In stage theaters, they don't typically do that, right? It's kind of like, here's the edge of the stage and everything happens from there back. And then you're also...
It's this imaginary wall.
Yeah. But you're kind of like, nah, there's no wall, which music tends to do because there is an interaction between the audience and the artists on stage. But you're using your space very differently and very creatively, and you're using your engagement between the two of you very, very for young guys who and youth doesn't really matter, because I find youth, you know, is always going to be more creative. But, you know, and I don't know exactly how old you are. I'm assuming like mid-20s, like 24, 22. What's that?
So close. Wait, I'm 20. Is that right? That's right. And you're 22.
22. So yeah, so I only did the math when you said about high school.
But lads, tiny lads.
but you're really getting creative, and I think that whenever live performances get to happen again, it's something that I know I personally, if I was going through a bunch of live performances, that's a live performance I would want to see, is what I've seen from you guys. Now there's an ocean.
That's so sweet.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it'll
Huge
happen
ocean.
someday. It'll happen. I
Oh,
promise.
dude, like just honestly and truly, because these last few years for us have been the wackiest, because this time, about probably 2 years ago, Cooper and I were planning on moving to Toronto. Literally, like East Coast Canada, we had tickets booked, we had accommodation, we had jobs lined up, everything was gonna happen, and then we didn't, and we decided to go to Los Angeles instead. But like that conversation about, you know, going to Canada, doing a North America Canada tour sort of thing is like so not that far off, provided COVID kind of like scoots. So I'm just excited for, you know, if we are on these support shows in these different cities or countries that we've never actually kind of performed in. I love the idea of bringing this sort of wackiness or coming up with even weirder stuff over there to people that have never seen it in real life, because it's fun for us. Like, we love seeing the reactions, and we love seeing kind of, you know, people involved in it at the same time. And, you know, we've been around Australia a couple of times. We've done that sort of thing here, but I'm just really excited to kind of bring it abroad.
100%.
So, Monster, as you kind of mentioned, is the end of this kind of phase, and you're getting ready to start a new, I guess, a new music phase, or what's coming next. So what is that? What is coming next? What's to be expected?
Well.
I feel like, in a sense, like, so our song Violet was kind of the first song that propelled us into this new little kind of era that we created. It's where we thought of the whole like eyeball thing and that whole like culty sort of image. And from Violet, we kind of thought, why not flesh this out into a bit of a story sort of thing? And that's what we did with the Violet video, with this whole like idea of like a clinic sort of environment. So Monster was the second part of Violet, pretty much. If Violet is kind of like, I don't like what I'm becoming, I don't like who this is, Monster is the person you've become and the person that you don't like, but you're stuck in this body. And then our next song, not going to name it, that is just a direct continuation in that kind of flow that we started with Violet. So we're going to revisit some stuff from the Violet sort of era and the video, because we just kind of did a pretty video for Monster with lots of lights and stuff, but we're going to take a look at that concept again and continue that on into next year.
Anyways, what I was going to ask you about was with Monster, and so that's cool. There's another wave of that coming, and the storytelling aspect of what you're talking about. It's really interesting. It's really neat. I love that you're thinking that way. But the cult reference is kind of fun. And it's kind of interesting, because I've always said that about 30 Seconds to Mars, right? The echelon, of which I feel like I'm a part of, because I'm a huge 30 Seconds to Mars fan. I love you're creating a world for yourself, and I'm wondering, from a fan standpoint, do you have like your fans kind of coming along with that? Are they, you know? It tends to start small, but are you seeing that momentum from a fan base kind of happening with what you're creating?
It's insane, and like, oh my goodness, we did not mean to do this. Period. We didn't. Like, we went into Violet with this new song that we've been showing people, and it was kind of just like a little time capsule of what we wanted to be at that point. But the whole cult thing, the whole eyeball worshiping our boy, all that, like, it just naturally came. And it was around the same time when we were releasing Monster that we started getting a little more like
intentional with it.
intentional, yeah, and like kind of going behind and being like, oh, all right, yeah, a cult, sure. And around that time as well, we started getting a little more of a following on like TikTok and all that. So at the same time as we're just kind of defining this like new branding for ourselves and being like, hey, we're not a band, we're a cult. At that same time, there's like an influx of just tons of new people that are like, oh, what's this? A video. Oh, cool video. Oh, they're a band. Oh, they're a cult. All right, guess I'm a part of it now. And so it all kind of happened at once, and it was very overwhelming because all of a sudden we have so many people that are like, yeah, I'm a part of the cult. And we're like, damn shit.
When you accidentally start a cult,
it's the worst.
You know that feeling?
I tell our parents, like, don't tell your friends we're in a band. Just say they're cult leaders. What do your sons do?
You need to put that on the back. You need to put Buddy something, just that when you accidentally start a cult, ...
That's a great idea. I'm definitely stealing that. Thank you.
It's great. Yeah, that's literally how it happened. It was a thick accident.
You know what? Happy accidents. It's kind of it's interesting because I mean, music. I won't say music is cultish, but music always has that such strong followings. You have bands with longevity for, you know, years and years and years and years, and they totally believe in the music. I mean, look at look at U2. U2 is a really good example of that. Started out as a band. Bono had so much to say about the world and the environment, and they grew a fan base simply because they had good music. They're great, and you know, they're fantastic musicians, but they also had something to say, and that's kind of like where I find you guys are headed. You have something to say, whether or not you know what you're saying at the time or whatnot is one thing. You're just taking the moment and the ability to say what it is that you want to say. And if it's something like Violet leading into Monster, people grab hold of that. People tune into that. They really get something when a band has lots to say.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like, I think I see it more like with us, I think, and a lot of other great artists that we look up to. People aren't latching on to a musician making songs. They're latching onto a person. And like everything, every facet of that person, whether that be like what they ate for breakfast or like what they think about the world or anything, like that's when the connection is the coolest. And that's when I've found like favorite artists, is when I'm like, oh my God, like everything about you, I would like to follow every single thing. So to think people do that with us is like amazing. And that's why we were like, maybe this is a cult.
Well, like, because it's so simple. There's no complications to anything we're doing. We're two people. We think things. We go through things. We have doubts. We deal with everything everyone else deals with, like mentally. And it's just getting it out on paper and taking it from here to here, and then taking it from there and putting it on the internet, and then people are interested. And that's literally that's the idea behind a cult, and that's the idea behind a band. There's really not much that's different. One just is a little funkier.
But that also gives me the hope that if we completely change our sound in the future, you know, like we tend to have musical phases and like grow with what we're listening to, people I feel like will stick with us because they're in it for us, not necessarily that sound or songs we're putting out, you know. So I hope when we're 90 and making really gross old people music, people will
It'll happen.
Still be there.
Jazz time, baby. I'm stoked.
You know, so I mean, QReview is a platform that has been out there trying to kind of discover LGBT artists and really kind of help them get a voice or whatnot, because of, you know, the history where there hasn't been a lot of exposure and platform. And I know that the two of you are connected to the community, but I'm curious from your viewpoint, I guess, and being young too, you probably have a very different perspective on it, or maybe a viewpoint on it. But is there a community, is there, I guess, a more of an openness now for artists who are out there who are self-identifying, who are not waiting until they have to make a press release or something like that to announce themselves. They're just authentically kind of going out and being themselves. Are you finding more room for those artists out there, especially within bands?
Absolutely. Like even in like places like where we live, Perth, like it's the most isolated city in the world. Like you would expect just like the least diverse people, but it's so awesome to see at like punk shows and like alternative shows and stuff, just like the sort of new openness that everyone has. Like
it's literally the community just coming in and making a voice for themselves and having fun with everyone. Like I find that in the past decade, it's been a very strange, you know, like wishy-washy. Some people are just like really judgmental, but then other times it's like a trend to be like open to things. But I just want us to get to a place where we're all at a show, everyone's themselves, everyone's doing exactly what they want to do and being exactly who they want to be. And there's no judgment. There's none of the side eye. There's none of the like, you shouldn't do that. Like, it just doesn't exist. It's just a foreign concept.
and like so our audience is like generally more younger people, like, you know, under 18, a lot of them. And I've found that young people are so accepting and open to new ideas and stuff, especially when you contrast that with, you know, older people who are very stuck in their ways. Like just the people at our shows, like they will literally become friends with each other and bond
It's
over
beautiful.
like
It's so
over
good.
someone holding a pride flag or something. Then they're like best friends. They just like they're so just beautifully open-minded, and I just wish everyone could be more like young people in that way.
I'm so proud of our fans, honestly. Like I'm so proud and I'm so grateful. And I think I can speak for both Cooper and I, like we feel so lucky that we don't have little grossies. Like little
They're good ones.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, like the world exists and dumb people and mean people and ignorant people exist also, but I believe that the little bit of the population that we have that are either in the community or very accepting of the community, and the fact that they live in our world and we're all together and we're all in a cult together, like it literally is just bonding over a common interest, and our interest is this music and this sound that makes us happy, and these visuals that are just like whack and entertaining. Like it's all just fun. And I think that when you take out the ego or the identity, like with people just like not accepting someone because they don't understand it, when you get rid of all that, we're all just people enjoying what we love. And I just don't see why that's a problem for some people. Like
Everybody has their own. Everybody has their own. But it's refreshing and it's good, and that's why I love talking to young people. It sounds so weird, but some like you get it. The world is kind of your future, and those of you who are out there who are younger than you as well. And in order for it to be better, in order for it to continue to evolve and change and progress, your voices are super important. And whether that's just through speaking or through music, what is kind of with what you're doing, it's vital to the future. In my opinion. Who am I? Maybe I'm biased, but it is incredible.
Like, we're just one of many people with voices saying sort of things, but I want all of these voices to be the same, because there are obviously some that we don't agree with, DT, but yeah, I mean, I just feel like the people who have the power to speak to a larger audience should be either educating about the right ways, or just in general just teaching their following or their peers or whoever they're talking to just the correct way, because there's not enough of it right now. There's more, but there's not enough. And it just, like, more voices saying the right thing need to be there. And
Amen, brother.
again, we're just one of a bunch, but there's not enough still. So it's like, it's never really a job done until like 100% is just like there. But, you know, I don't know. I think about it every day. Even, like, I just think that, yeah, there's so much more of this acceptance and these voices saying the right thing, and these influencers and these entertainers and people who are famous, whatever, like, taking the right side, but it's still just like, it's not good enough in the sense of the world. Like, you know, it just needs to be better. So
Agreed.
I don't know, man.
Agreed.
Yeah. Not a water.
I go through a lot of glasses when I'm talking to folks. What's coming next? What should we expect? So you're working on a new single. There'll be a video with it. Yes. And when should we expect that? When are you hoping to have that out?
Like, honestly, like, with how much the world is changing every day, we're just like taking it as it goes. Like, we're prepared, but we're also ready in case
something changes.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, just things change. And I don't know if everything opens up again and we get to fly to Los Angeles, because we're meant to be there right now.
we are. We had tickets booked and everything.
Had tickets booked. We still have tickets booked. It's just in credits. Yeah, like, you know, we're taking it day by day. There's plans and there's things that are set in stone, but at the same time, like, we don't have a magical timeline of the next 365 days that is set in stone, and that's exactly how it goes. Like, we're people, we're gonna make changes and stuff. I think, you know, there's so much that has kind of taken us steps back with what's happening right now, but at the same time, I feel like it's really, really incredible to see how so many people of all different backgrounds, all different levels of success in their life or wherever they're at, all of a sudden becoming on the same level. We're all stuck. We're all talking to each other on the internet. Like, we can't do tours, we can't do, you know, the biggest show in the world or arena stuff, like, whatever. These people aren't doing that. They're stuck at home just like us. So it's kind of a beautiful thing where no matter how unreachable a person is, they're still kind of on the same level as the person sitting at home watching videos of them playing live. Like, it's really cool. So we've kind of taken it as like a little less pressure to be like the biggest and the best or whatever, and more just show people exactly how we live our lives and sharing that.
I think that's cool. I think that's a really cool way to kind of go about it.
Feed the cold.
Well, this has been, it's been fantastic kind of talking to you and hearing from you and getting to know you. I'm super excited to follow in with what's going to come on next and what you're going to be putting out. And I really do hope that the pandemia world that I love to call it pandemia. It's very Hunger Games.
That's very fun.
But I really hope that things get back to normal and things open up soon, because I do think that, bands like yourself are I think young people and older people too, but I really do think that, some of the youth that are out there will identify with you so much that they need to see you. You need to be in front of them, and they need to know who you are as artists. And I think that they would totally resonate with you and connect with you.
Thank you. We think that, so it's so amazing.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say, like, people don't understand how much we bond with them and identify with them as well. Like, these people that meet us at shows and they tell us their stories or, about themselves, about their background, about how they found out about our music. Like, it's not just one-sided. We're not just inspiring people and making people think a certain way. Like, it is completely that way as well. And hearing how people deal with their identity crisis, even stories of how people manage to come out to their parents in an abusive family and stuff, like all this stuff is just little nuggets of knowledge in our brain that we go like, holy shit, that's incredible. I want to be more like you. I want to have the confidence you have. I want to learn things from you. Like, yeah, completely not just one way. We learn so much from like the people that come out to shows, the people that talk to us online. It's all just like, that's the cool thing about it. And we're exchanging.
And to think that there's like more of those people in the world who, you know, have those experiences that they share with us and they don't even realize it. Like that's, I want to promote us, one, to get our music out there, but also I'm like, we need to like,
we want more people to learn from and to learn about. Like, that's the reason we're doing it. We're not just showing off our stuff. We're sharing an experience that we gain just as much as they gain. Like, yeah,
agreed.
That's a beautiful thing, guys.
Take that.
It really is. It's not meant to sound a slight or anything like that, but it is. Like, it's great to have that attitude and that vision for what it is that you're doing to help keep you grounded, but also to keep you human, I guess.
Yes, 100%. And also, like, just there's not everything has to be the way. If the whole world just went with, oh, that's just the way it's always been, so we'll continue with it, and no one spoke up, like, it would be a fucking nightmare. And so the fact that with music, we can do this, you know, we can have the mindset of just because that's the way it is doesn't mean we have to do that. If anything, it gives us more of a reason to do what we want to do. Like, it just takes that one voice and just keep snowballing it. Like, it's so important.
We're like that with music, with the way we think about the world. It's a very common thing.
We're stubborn as hell. And if someone says you can't do that, you shouldn't do that, like, fuck you. Yes, we can. Like, I literally, it comes back to just people, you know, like being like back in the day and like, what's the word? Like stuck in the time.
Stuck in their ways.
Yeah, like that whole thing, it shits me so fucking much. It's like,
you're really going at it on
I'm
allowed to swear.
I'm just feeling it all right now because it does really combine those two worlds for us, and it just makes there's a cat. I see a cat. It frustrates us in this household when we are told to do something that we don't agree with. So
this is the CEO of the company. His name is actually Cooper.
Oh, yeah. No way!
Amazing.
Yeah, it's so warm.
Sorry, I just woke our cat up from his sleep to show you him.
He's a bit floppy.
He's
right
very
now.
sad. I'm so sorry.
Well, listen, guys, it is midday where you're at, and I don't.
Yeah, it is. It's really cool.
Hold you hostage for any longer. This has been fantastic. I can't wait to introduce you more to other artists and fans around the world. And I want to continue this conversation in the future because I know that there's still so much more that we have to learn from you.
Bring us into your world. We want to meet everyone. We want to say hey and just like, let's fucking party. I love this. And we can't wait to meet more people and just like, I don't know, and involve each other in each other's worlds. Yes. That's such an exciting thing.
We will send you new songs. Let's keep talking.
Let's do it.
Absolutely. All right. I'm going to return you to your lives, which I so rudely stole you from, because it is late at night for you.
How dare you?
But we're going to
I'm just going to go drive home.
But for anybody who's watching.
What's that, sir?
For anybody who's watching, this is Those Who Dream, Cooper, Josh from Perth, Australia. Their brand new single is Monster. It is out now on all streaming platforms. You need to go check it out, listen to it, and you need to go to their YouTube and check out their videos. They're so good. They're so creative. Thank you, guys.
Yes, you do.
Thank you. Stream Monster, everybody.
Fucking stream it. Keep on going. Keep on going. We love y'all.
Thank you.
We love you. Thank you so much.